Welcome everyone, this is Tactical Glitch here and welcome back to the Immortal Empires, where today we have a replay sent in by our friend and also Taiwanese YouTuber, me. So in this battle, he brought in a quite interesting build, utilizing quite some synergies between different units in the Chaos updated roster. So for the front line here, we have a bunch of Marauders on the flanks, and at the back more Marauders, also a couple Chaos Warhounds with poison, a whole bunch of Marauder Horse Masters. But the true core of this army is this little blob right here. 3 Forsakens of Khorne with that flaming attacks, supported by Swords of Chaos, also with flaming attacks. In the skies we have Valkia the Bloody leading the army, she also has flaming attacks. And let's look at the Exalted Hero. Well, he doesn't look like he has flaming attacks, but look at the items. Hellfire Sword giving also flaming attacks and a lot of bonus weapon damage to the heroic unit. Now, all this will be synergizing well with another unit, and that is the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire. All the flaming attacks actually gives the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire a great purpose, and that is the Kindle Flame, providing a map-wide debuff, 20% weakness to fire damage. That will give basically all these flaming attacks a massive damage boost, and on top of that, he can grant friendly units the ability to do flaming attacks as well, in both melee and in range. It would be a great way to give all these Marauder Horse Masters and other melee Marauders the ability to do fire damage and synergize with the Kindle Flame. You can say that today's Chaos army is really smoking hot. For their opponent here, the Greenskins, they are going super wide. On the flanks, we have a whole bunch of Boar Boy Biggins. They're supported by a bunch of Night Goblins, Squig Hoppers. There are a bunch of Goblins, Orc Boys spreading super wide with their numbers. At the back, a couple Night Goblin Archers. And that's basically it for the right. On the left, we have more Orc Boys, Goblins, and some Orc Boar Boys for the armor-piercing anti-infantry, in case there are any Chaos Warriors. As for leadership, we have an Orc Shaman and also Grimgor Ironhide coming in with a bunch of their abilities. Grimgor basically coming in fully kitted, and the Orc Shaman, weirdly enough, is bringing all the spells in the lore of Big Wa, possibly a newer player here, fully kitting out the spellcaster and overspending on magic support. Anyways, that's it for the army builds. Now let's get this show on the road. The focus of this build are these heavily blobbed Forsakens of Khorne surrounding the Swords of Chaos here. It is obvious that the Chaos player trying to buff these all surrounding units with the Apocalyptic Charge, now modified to be an active ability. They can grant surrounding units at their own will the 20% charge bonus here, giving the Forsaken in the synergy with the Frenzy a 47 charge bonus, even higher than Ogre Bulls, and they will be pummeling all these lightly armored greenskin infantry in no time. On top of that, the spear from Valkia absolutely obliterating these poor goblins. Over here, there are some Forsakens. Despite the poison, the flaming weakness, if it comes into account, will counteract that weapon damage debuff, and as you can see here, due to some spells being cast, a flaming Sword of Ruin at the back, that activates Kindle Flame, giving the Greenskins army a map-wide 20% fire weakness. As a result, the Khorne Forsaken with flaming attacks were able to enjoy a damage spike. In the middle, some Chaos units are sneaking through the gaps of the Greenskin lines, with the Forsaken slamming into the rear of the Orc Boys, while the Sword of Chaos are charging straight after the Night Goblin Shaman Archers, trying to shut down the fire support and the long-range poison debuffs. Now over here, the Orc Boys are taking heavy damage despite Stand Your Ground is active, being sandwiched by the Marauders and Forsaken, while Valkia is dealing with Grimgor. Valkia, with her Demon Shield on, she is not taking any damage at all and is doing quite well in dishing out pain against Grimgor the melee beast. The only problem is that the Demon Shield isn't permanent, and Valkia is now subject to your Nix, a massive debuff from Grimgor, and also Grimgor is popping up his own buffs as well. Both the Wa and Fists of Gorg are activated, giving Grimgor a massive boost to combat stats. Without any buffs, Valkia cannot hold up in this combat, and she'll be quickly retreating back into the skies. In return, the Chaos Sorcerer will be chucking a fireball at Grimgor. That was most likely a miss, but Kindle Flame is triggered again, giving all the fire attacks a bit of a damage spike. At the back, some Orc Boars have circled around, charging into the Marauders with a fighty fervor. and the others will be chasing after the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, trying to drag him into combat in order to shut down the Chaos Magic support, especially the Kindle Flame. At the same time, even more Boar Boys are coming in, this time in the form of big guns. The Chaos Marauders are totally not having a good time right now, sandwiched between so many Orc Boars. While the Marauder Horse Masters, using their superior speed at 90, they'll roam around the battlefield as well, chucking javelins at whatever units they can get their hands on, even charging into the rear of some exposed Orc Boys. With such a sudden attack, the leadership of the Orc Boys cannot hold up and they will be routing immediately. On the other side, most of the Chaos Infantry has been destroyed. Only some Forsaken are holding on against the numerically superior Orc Boys 2 units, focusing down one. They're actually doing pretty well, cutting through a single unit of Orc Boys and doing some noticeable damage to the other one. But unfortunately, the numbers is overwhelming them, and they will be soon routed, while over here, the Forsakens are being buffed up by the Flaming Sword of Ruin here. Being a non-armor piercing unit, they are enjoying a lot of that base weapon damage buff. Combined with the Kindle Flame 20% fire weakness, they will be counter-punching all these Orc units hard. And the Orc Boar Boy Begans, despite their heavy armor, will be taking substantial damage for this engagement, especially when the Forsakens are supported by Valkia the Bloody. Now over here, there are still a lot of greenskin numbers roaming the battlefield. In the middle of them, there is an exalted hero challenging the mighty war boss. But this is not exactly the brightest idea, since Grimgor Ironhide does have that defense buff from Stand Your Ground active at 79 melee defense. And exalted hero not doing a lot of damage in return regardless of the anti-infantry and armor piercing. Right now being debuffed by the poison from all these Night Goblin archers, his weapon strength is reduced, leaving him with rather limited damage output against Grimgor. Now even Get Back here is activated, trying to keep the leadership of the greenskin units high, but unfortunately the Orc Boys and Goblins have already been routed, and only the Orc Boar Boy Biggins are here to support. But no matter, as the Swords of Chaos will be a good target for these anti-large armor-piercing Boar Cavalry. This is a massive mosh pit right now, with Chaos Warhounds, Exalted Heroes in there, more Warhounds, and there are not a lot of infantry left from the Chaos Army, as most of them are routed. Only some Forsakens are left, dealing with the Orc Boar Boys, who does have anti-infantry armor piercing. They will shred through the piss-poor melee defenses of the offensive-focused Forsaken in no time. Nasty Skulkers being intercepted by Marauders, this will not be a good trade for them. Over here, Valkia the Bloody is engaging Grimgor Ironhide, but this is not a good engagement for her at all. Why is activated, your Nyx is popped on her, and also Gisnik, that extra melee attack and also armor piercing weapon damage will be doing a number on Valkia the Bloody. At the back, the Greenskins are dragging their tattered forces into the thick of the fight. Some regrouped Boar Boys are roaming the battlefield, but unfortunately they are no longer enough to challenge the Chaos Mobility game. There are just a whole bunch of Marauder Horsemen here, too fast for the Greenskin to catch in this game, chugging javelins left, right, and center, chipping away the health of a lot of units, but unfortunately doing some chipping friendly fire into the Sword of Chaos, while Grimgor Ironhide still in this battle, hacking down horses after horses. Even if the Sword of Chaos are Archaon's personal bodyguard, they are still no match for the biggest and baddest war boss of the whole Greenskin history. So the javelins from the Horse Masters will be chipping away the health of Nasty Skulkers. There are some nice Goblin Squig Hoppers still around chasing after them, but they'll be routed off in no time, thanks to all these Horse Masters turning around, delivering a devastating countercharge with overwhelming numbers. More Orc Boys are coming back from rout, but there are just not enough numbers to hold in combat. Although now there is one bad decision from the Chaos player, Valkia dropping down to duel Grimgor. Not exactly the brightest idea in her life. Grimgor with the full secret active refreshing his own vigor, alleviating the stat debuffs caused by the exhaustion effect. Good news for Valkia is that the Swords of Chaos are still there, providing her with physical resistance with the Guardian ability. Also, a spell is activated, the Flaming Sword of Ruin, giving the Horse Masters a bit of damage boost in terms of base missile damage. And of course, don't forget about the fire weakness from the Kindle Flame effect. At the back, the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire has been taking significant damage from the armor-piercing Orc Boar Boys Biggins. Orc Boys coming in as well, trying to surround the Chaos Sorcerer, but the Chaos Sorcerer is on horseback, so he'll be slipping away. And as the Orc Boy begins tries to push, the Horse Masters at the back would be chugging in javelins, steadily cutting down their health. At this point, the boars are so depleted they are no longer a threat. Exalted Hero coming back, hoping to support this fight, but Valkia the Bloody, isolated by a bunch of Orc models, including some of the returned Orc boys, she is kind of stuck in this combat. The shield is activated for a while, making her immune to damage, but that is not quite enough. Guardian is active as well from the Sword of Chaos, providing a little bit damage mitigation from Grimgor Ironhide. But whether that's enough, we will see, as Grimgor is going to activate a whole bunch of buffs from himself. Fist of Gorg from the Orc Shaman, Stand Your Ground from himself, Gear Snake and Foe Seeker. His stats are absolutely insane right now. Over 100 in both melee attack and defense, 675 primarily armor piercing weapon strength. This situation is certainly really finicky for Valkia the Bloody. Despite the Cascading Fire Cloak giving her a bit of a damage boost and also melee defense buff, she will be returning to the skies and dropping down again, hoping to use that cycle charging charge damage to chip away Grimgor's health. But so far, it's not exactly successful, as Grimgor's Fist of Gorg still active, buffing up his defense to block some attacks. And instead, Valkia is being punched hard in return. Even the Exalted Hero is wavering from the missile support from all these Night Goblin archers. Only the Sword of Chaos and the Chaos Sorcerer remain in the blob, and they are barely holding. Now seems like the Greenskins are just throwing buffs on Grimgor. Even the Scroll of Shielding is activated right now. Earwheel Go is also activated. The Orc Shaman is almost on the brink of routing with such a low HP pool. Looks like the player is trying to squeeze out every bit of magic before he routs. Now let us fast forward a bit as the fight is in a bit of a lull. The Chaos player attempts to concentrate his forces of Marauder Horse Masters, but that formed a blob for a juicy Foot of Gorg. Unfortunately, due to all their earlier magic consumption, it seems that there isn't enough magic for an upgraded version. The balance of power is now shifting back into the Chaos favor, as a lot of these routing Orc units are being cleaned up by the superior mobility, leaving only Grimgor Ironhide and the Goblins. Another fireball comes in, but seems like it completely misses Grimgor Ironhide, as he will be charging straight into the combat against the horde of Chaos units. But with such an overwhelming number, Grimgor's leadership is wavering, or at least on the verge of wavering, as he drops in a couple leadership abilities, Gepe Ear and Stand Your Ground. Unfortunately, that was not enough to keep the cowardly Gobble to stay in the fight a little longer. A nice brain burst out here, equalizing the balance of power a bit more, routing a bunch of units and mitigate the damage boost from the Flaming Sword of Ruin. But the heroes are still here, and the Sword of Chaos as well, holding in combat. In the end, Grimgor's leadership cannot compete with all these Chaos units and is routed. With the Greenskins losing their leadership, the Chaos can simply clean up all the routing Greenskins with their superior mobility. So this will be a victory for the Flaming Chaos build. Before we go, let's have a quick rundown of army performances. For the Chaos army here led by Valkia, the Marauders didn't really do too much here, as most of the damage were done by the Forsakens and the Swords of Chaos. You can see that they did some pretty solid damage, one of them earning well over their worth of value, killing hundreds of Greenskins. Also, the Marauder Horse Masters doing a decent job thanks to all the buffs from the Flaming Sword of Ruin. Mostly, the damage were coming from all these melee units with the flaming attacks, thanks to the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire not doing a lot of damage but doing his job, which is to spam those spells, activating Kindle Flame as much as possible, boosting the army's damage with their flaming attacks. Exalted Hero getting quite a few kills with his chariots, unfortunately getting hacked down by Grimgor. Valkia also doing some solid damage in the one-on-one duel against Grimgor, thanks to her ability that grants her invulnerability. As for other mobility, the Hounds not doing too much here, and the Marauder Horsemen almost earning back its own value, but mostly they were just used for chasing off routing units. Now for Grimgor Ironhide's Greenskin army, the Orc boys unfortunately fighting against the buffed up Forsaken thanks to all the spells, including Cascading Fire Cloak that I totally missed in the battle, also Flaming Sword of Ruin buffing their damage, and then the Kindle Flame buff. These Orc boys just got wrecked by the offensive infantry, all these Forsakens of Khorne. As for the cavalry, the Orc boy begins not doing enough damage to earn back their worth. Same goes for the Squig Hoppers. Now Orc boys did a little bit better on this one, but this one got absolutely wrecked in the fight. Nasty Skulkers and the Night Goblin archers being rushed by enemy units, also not doing too much damage, and of course goblins being goblins, they also had really poor performance in the battle. Now the Orc Shaman did a little bit better thanks to his armor piercing weapon strength, hacking away some health from the Sword of Chaos, and also the Foot of Gork and Brain Burster. Combined with all his buffs, the Fists of Gork dropping on Grimgor Ironhide. Grimgor was able to do some solid damage throughout the battle, over 3k gold worth of damage, but unfortunately just not enough to turn around the game, as most of his army was obliterated by the Flaming Weakness debuff. As most of his army was obliterated by the Flaming Weakness debuff. As most of his army was obliterated by the constant spamming of the As most of his army was obliterated by the constant spamming of the map-wide Flaming Weakness debuff. Even the various boar boys with 85 armor took some substantial damage when fighting those juiced up Forsaken. Anyways, that is all for today. Big thanks to me for sending in this replay showcasing this fire weakness build on the Chaos roster, utilizing all the new tools given to the Warriors of Chaos, combining with some of the original tools like the Swords of Chaos. I hope viewers, you guys enjoyed this battle as well, and if you want to see more Total War Warhammer multiplayer, remember to hit the like and subscribe to receive updates from my channel. And if you want to showcase any replays of your own, feel free to drop by my Discord or send me an email with the replay file attached. I'll be sure to check them out. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.